you know?
Keeps the doors open. Johncarls opening that chest, surprised to find a big bow and arrow for him.
Holy moly, we're actually live.
Whoa!
We're actually live and talking to people. Hello, everybody.
Rolling deep. Show
Rolling
respect.
into this one. xelnas doing the boss key skip. Rolling deep. Johncarls moving upstairs in Eastern.
Xelnas making the call, looking at that red rupee and saying, yeah, I want that.
It's money. That's money in the bank. He can take that to the bank, or he can take it to Kiki later on in the run.
So I'm going to fill you guys in on what you guys missed. You didn't see escape. It was a solid escape. John actually beat it in 5 minutes 30 seconds. Really respectable time for escape. Xelnas close behind, 5:32 escape. Both of them basically world record escapes. Now we're heading into Eastern Palace. Both of them have been playing exceptionally well, quite honestly.
So deep.
I think some of the differences we've seen in the amount of time up until now, xelnas I think has been tripped up 1 or 2 times by some randomizer muscle memory. He checked out Sahasrala's shack pretty early on. He picked up the lantern from the house. Doing pretty well.
Really nice Armos quick kill there by Johncarls. Had a pretty solid, what, 11:06 sort of? Pretty solid Eastern.
It's pretty much world record for Eastern.
Basically is.
Here, do you think Johncarls is going to opt to get the Pegasus shoes?
Now, I've seen most people do that in their speedruns. I've heard it actually does save time to get the Pegasus shoes, so I think he's going to do it. But we'll see. It's up to him, honestly, you know? He can do whatever he wants.
For sure.
He's the one on world record pace, not us.
Johncarls talking to the old man. Probably negotiating a good price. We'll see.
Wow, usks him down to 0 rupees for the Pegasus shoes. That is bargaining 101 right there. Zelda's having a little bit of trouble. Doesn't quite get that last kill on the Armos Knight, so it goes into the rage mode. He's got to hit him with 3 more arrows, but he's out of Eastern.
John put all of his points into charisma at the beginning and was able to negotiate down to free.
That's a good option. I see a lot of players doing that.
Unfortunately, that means that he did not invest any points in intelligence, and we'll see how that bodes for him in this race.
You hate to see that happen.
Alright, so John going for a second spin speed here. Easily navigated.
Oh, free is 30 frames in the game. So I guess we should probably maybe talk about what that is. So if you charge up your sword and press A with the dash boots, the frame after you release it, it puts Link into this kind of glitched state. And if you walk directly off of a set of stairs, like you see Johncarls about to do here, it puts you into super speed and allows you to kind of navigate at dash speed while still being in the corner around. It's one of a few Japanese 1.0 glitches that are used throughout the run to make things a little bit faster.
It's surprising too because it looks like it's incredibly fast, but for most screens it doesn't actually save all that much time. It does make some screens easier, it makes a few screens a little more challenging, but overall I would say it doesn't make a huge difference over the course of the entire run.
Yeah, I think each screen that you do it on saves maybe a second or 2 at tops, but it looks cool, which is probably the most important part of the trick.
I think that's the reason most people do it, is because it's just amazing to watch. Alright, John here heading into the desert. Do you think he'll be able to find the palace?
I hope so. He's going the wrong way so far. Oh, he turned back up. Okay,
that's good.
Nice. You'd like to see that. We also did see a slight route variation. xelnas picking up the rupees after talking to Sahasrala. That's a little bit slower than what Johncarls is going to try to do, but a little bit safer. So we'll see Johncarls picking up the rest of his rupees he needs for Palace of Darkness in just a little bit.
Yeah, as a reminder, before both of these players head into Palace of Darkness, they're going to need at least 110 rupees. There's no way around that, and so part of the Light World route does involve making sure that you've picked up enough rupees, whether it be by enemies or by large amounts that you find throughout the game. As you can see, xelnas is already well more than he needs, and those will contribute to other things he needs to purchase. xelnas, I believe, So he usually does gold sword, silver arrows, which costs an extra 100 on top of everything. And so there's usually not quite as much flexibility in the rupee route, but we may see that be different this time.
Yeah, we heard rumblings and grumblings of some hot new strats from Xelnas, so keep an eye out for those. You see John Carls picking up the big key. Had some nice luck there with the cannonballs. I'm not hearing a lot of book spam from John, and frankly, it's a little disappointing. I gotta be honest with you. I would have liked to hear some more book spam.
Yeah, the book spam is very helpful. It helps let your enemies know that you're very serious about this speedrun and to leave you alone. And the fact that John is just flagrantly skipping it is a little bit upsetting. It's almost like he's not taking this seriously.
I mean, maybe he just has no fear. Has no fear of the enemies, so he's just not into to spam the book at him.
Do you think that's the best idea? I mean, I've seen him play.
I mean, yeah. I mean, from previous witnessings of John Carls play, maybe he should make the enemies afraid of him. I think that might be a good option.
John Carls not even going for Desert 2 spin speed, and that's okay. That is a pretty tough trick. You can get spin speed off those stairs leaving the first half of Desert. Unfortunately, you leave those stairs, obviously, with super speed, and it's a very narrow window to not just jump off of the ledge and have to redo the entire first half of Desert. So a lot of players do opt to not even go for that spin speed. It doesn't really save a ton of time, and the potential mistake is pretty significant.
We see John executing some key dashes here. You can actually align yourself at 4 pixel increments so that you can dash straight through a door instead of bonking into it. So there's a couple of them here. There's a few more throughout the run that you'll see where you just get yourself lined up just perfectly so that you don't have to worry about stopping to let the door open. You just go straight through. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, fortunately, almost every single one has a convenient setup so that you can key dash it. I think there's only one door in the game that you would gamble on. Otherwise, everything else, there's a way to set it up.
So John in Landmillis now, which I've heard is actually an impossible boss. Nobody's ever beaten it, especially not fast.
It'll be interesting to see if this is the first time Landmillis actually dies.
He's got a little bit more health on that third worm.
Yeah. Now, once there's only one worm remaining, when they spawn, they shoot out 8 projectiles rather than just the normal 4. So it's a little bit different. It can be a little bit more difficult to navigate how to position yourself.
John doesn't make it out. He had a couple of really nasty short hops there from the last one, but does make his way out.
Xelnas, you saw miss the key dash, probably didn't have himself lined up quite right and bounced off the door. That's the normal thing that happens if you try to dash into a door.
Shoutouts to Xelnas for showing us how to do that, so it makes us look really smart by seeing the right and wrong way to do things. Really appreciate that.
All right, John picking a relatively safe way to leave Desert, but now I think he's probably going to be heading toward fake flippers. Oh, and
we see Xelnas take a death there to the...
That's Xelnas' first death we've seen. Fortunately, he's just entered Desert 2. I will say that there aren't a lot of places in this game where I would say that deaths aren't too costly, but dying midway through Desert 2 is probably one of the better ones he could have found.
Yeah, it's probably one of the least costly deaths. He'll be back to where he was really, really quickly. We see John lining up for fake flippers here. Gets it first try.
So you're not supposed to be able to. You're not supposed to be able to swim in deep water. But at this point in the game, because he doesn't have access to that and doesn't have the money to buy them, there is a glitch you can do where if you jump into deep water and screen transition on the very next frame, the game actually doesn't check to see whether or not you have flippers. When you move on to the next screen, it allows you to swim. The unfortunate side effect of that, however, is that if you do, at that point, then take a hit while you're in the water, the game doesn't know where to put you, and you enter a glitch state, which you can potentially soft lock the game. This tournament actually has rules specifically to prevent soft locking, allows you to save and quit and go back to a safe spot with different rules for both the groups and the bracket stages, but hopefully we won't see that be an issue for either player here.
Yeah, John actually got a pretty scary Zora spawn, was right in front of the warp that he was wanting to go into, but with optimal movement, or close to optimal movement, you never have to actually worry about that Zora hitting you, so nicely done there. John taking an old man up a mountain and receiving a mirror for it. I don't really understand the exchange rate there, but whatever works for him, I guess.
There has to be a business, a potential business option there, and he's just not taking it up. He's just letting young kids lead him through the dark, and then he gives them a free mirror. He could have charged for that mirror. 20, 50 rupees, maybe?
Well, I mean, with how useful it is, I mean, you could charge at least 100, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
Did you know, some fun little lore, that that guy is actually related to Sahasrara and Agana?
Oh my god.
He's like yeah, they're like all related. I didn't even know this. I think Scrivo told me this. It's pretty intense. Changed my life.
Well, Scrivo does know everything, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. John Carl's into Tower of Hera now. This is where we'll kind of see that mirror used a lot. It actually acts as a warp back to the beginning of a dungeon when you use it. So in this dungeon and also in a couple other ones, you'll see it used as basically a faster method of backtracking.
It's a steal at any price. So we do see Xelnas going for fake flippers. He's setting it up right now. He's not setting it up. He did not do the normal setup for it, and so now he's trying to see if he can get the right pixel. It's not terribly hard to get exactly the right pixel, but it is going to give him a little bit of a challenge finding it. There we go. He got it. Now he just needs to not take a hit here. Easy money.
Nice. Good swimming. John Carl's tiling his room right now. I think this is the only tile room you have to actually do in the game, which is nice.
It's only required one.
And this is the only one we get to sit through.
I wouldn't have been terribly surprised to see Xelnas going for the, what's the name of that strat? The Breezeway? Something Breeze.
Probably, I don't know.
Someone will remind me, but it was nice seeing him go for the fake flippers. That strat saves about 7 seconds over doing it the other way, 6 or 7 seconds. You wouldn't think it would be a bigger time save. It's not, so. There is another much safer strat that has you run up along the side of Hyrule Castle. West Side Breeze, thank you.
There it is, the West Side Breeze. See if John hits the switch here. Looks like he's going to.
Yeah, that's a really safe range strat.
But yeah, he's got 3 hearts, so maybe not a bad call here. You definitely don't want to die at the very end of Tower of Hera.
I think most players would probably opt to do that in any case other than maybe entering with max health, where you know it wouldn't make that big of a difference.
That's fair. And nice little bomb jump there. Using the damage boost properties of a bomb to skip over that hole and grab the Moon Pearl without having to go through the tiny little puzzle that the game gives you up here.
Yeah, we'll see a few more bomb jumps over the course of the rest of this game. We'll see one very similar to that one in a dungeon in the Dark World, and we'll also see a much harder type of bomb jump coming up in Palace of Darkness, so...
John grabbing a couple of hearts from that safety pot section. He's going to be fighting Moldorm.
All right.
Moldorm, one of the trickier bosses, I'd say.
Both of our players in the same dungeon now. Xelnas entering Tower of Hera while John's cleaning it up. John trying to play it safe. No one wants to get poked into the idiot hole.
He's got one more hit here.
Nice. Well cleaned up.
So John Carls has all 3 pendants now. I don't know what that means next. That's the only thing that I've heard to do in this game is you get the 3 pendants. So we're in uncharted waters here. I'm not sure what we're doing. I can only hope John Carls knows a little bit more about this game than I do, and he knows where to go next.
All right, John took a shot on that spin speed out of Hera. He got it. That can be a little bit tough to deal with just because the potential for the dead rock to get in your way, but... I was buffering a little bit early on that bow, trying to prevent himself from bonking into the wall and falling in the hole. Let's see what he does here. So he's getting started with tree rupees here. That's the name of that strat. What he's going to be doing here is there is a mechanic in this game where some trees contain rupees that can be gathered if you pull on the tree, but the amount of rupees depends on how many enemies you've killed. So once he pulls that tree the first time that he pulled, he resets the counter, and now he needs to kill 4 enemies without taking any damage before he pulls the next tree. Another one is here in the Lost Woods. And so he's going to be trying to do that. That'll give him 4 red rupees for a total of 80, which will get him to 112 rupees at this point.
2450 Master Sword time. Pretty solid stuff.
Getting really close to that Master Sword. He wanted to give it a hug, wanted to make sure it was legitimate, had his guy come and check it out before he pulls it out. I mean, why even bother pulling out the stone if you don't even know if it's the legit one?
That's fair. You got to be sure about it. See, Zelna's setting up for the bomb jump. Looks like he's going to have it nice and easy. And yeah, we saw Johncarls play a little bit safer on a couple of those enemies, because as you mentioned, if you do take the hit, that'll kind of reset that counter, and then you kind of screwed up your rupee route, which you basically don't have too much other time to gather up 80 rupees before Palace of Darkness, so you really need to make sure you do tree rupees correctly. Yeah,
there's a few backups if you fail it. There's another tree right outside Hyrule Castle that you can kill a quick 4 enemies in between. The last backup you have, however, is just once you get to Palace of Darkness, mirroring to go to Sahasrara to get the same rupees that Xelnas got.
So we see John successfully completing tree rupees, as we have Xelnas on half a heart here in Moldorm. Gotta be pretty careful here. It's like one more, and does get the kill, so nicely done from Xelnas.
Very nice. John now entering Hyrule Castle. He's going to be taking a stab at Aghanim's Tower. You think we're going to see Aghanim there?
I mean, we just might. Given that he is required to beat the game, I think we might see an Aghanim fight here.
That'll be nice. That'll be a real treat for the viewers.
You always like blue balls. Aghanim's Tower, one of the more fun early dungeons to do. It requires a lot of enemy killing and that kind of stuff, so there's a lot of neat strats. We see John ringing the dinner bell for those ball and chain guards in order to take them out quickly. We'll see a couple of slashes and then a dash to get through these guys. Just a lot of cool strats in the next few rooms.
Xelnas, meanwhile, heading down the mountain. We'll see him able to navigate Lost Woods a little more freely, not having to worry quite so much about where he takes his hits from enemies or whether or not he gets enough rupees. He's already got plenty of rupees, so he's going to be making just a straight line for the Master Sword and then trying to head on toward Aghanim's Tower to catch up with John.
I actually did not see... Did Johncarls pick up the mushroom?
Yes, I did see that.
So he will be going with the powder later on.
Yeah, John has not dropped powder.
Also pick it up.
Yeah, I would expect Xelnas to pick it up as well. Do we think we'll see Xelnas gain Bottle and Bugnet? He said he was dropping Gold Sword, Silver Arrows potentially. I expect him to reassess his decision constantly throughout the race. I know I would if it was a new strat for me. But do we think we'll see him doing Bottle and Bugnet?
I'm not sure if that's a normal strat for him or not. So yeah, I'm interested to see if he goes for it. It's kind of one of those safeties that I know I'm personally just dropping it now. I kind of hung on to it a little longer than I needed to. So it's a tough one to get rid of because of how much safety it gives you.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if he'll grab it or not.
Yeah, a relatively newish runner, especially if you don't feel confident that you will 100% of the time survive every single boss. Bottle and Bugnet can really provide an excellent safety net for you, and I'm interested to see whether or not Xelnas picks it up. I mean, it could make a huge difference if John dies to one boss and Xelnas doesn't have to worry about that because he has a fairy. That could be a big play later on.
Right, yeah, and I definitely think tournament race strats versus PB strats are gonna have a factor there too. You know, maybe if you're going for a PB, maybe you go, all right, let's just go for it. Whereas in a race like this, you're more against your opponent, not against your own time. So that extra little 20-25 seconds might be worth it in the long run.
So Xelnas looks like he's still navigating the optimal way around Hyrule Field and out of Lost Woods. Maybe a few hang-ups from randomizers still. Looks like he's searching for things. I think he's trying to find a heart. Sword beams can be a really valuable asset for you in Aghanim's Tower, so I think he's trying to find one more heart. The blue guards, if you don't dash him to death, have a pretty high drop rate for hearts.
We see John Carls getting 3 blue balls in the first round. That's actually a 50-50 roll. The first shot of every attack is always a normal shot, but now all of these are 50-50. So he's gotten 4 blue balls in a row, so he's lost 4 coin flips, basically. And let's make that 5.
Yeah, absolutely hate to see this happen.
You hate to see it.
But he's still on track for 15, though, right? He's on track for 15, right?
Could we see 15? I think at this point, after you get up to like 6, you just want to see 15.
I'm not saying I'm rooting for 15, but I am rooting for 15. Right?
I kind of am too. I kind of definitely want to see 15.
Oh.
You hate now that you hate to see happen.
That is not the sort of thing that you would like to have seen happen.
So there's blue ball number 7 for our boy John Carls. Gonna get another lightning cycle here. I can't count, so I'm not sure how many shots he's got left to hit onto Aghanim here. Alright, looks like he's out of the fight now, finally. So each of those extra blue balls is an extra 6 seconds, and each extra lightning you get from that is another 6 seconds. So John lost about a minute to RNG there. Really, really cool stuff.
It really adds up. You'd be surprised if you just sit there and think about how long does it take to get one blue ball. Not that bad, but it really does add up, especially when you start to factor in the lightning cycles.
Yeah, it really makes you thinking face emoji.
Zelda's spinning the arrow guard to get the key. Definitely slows you down, but I think that in the end, it's a lot easier than having to worry about the other arrow guard coming and messing with you.
Yeah, the kind of optimal strat, you have to kind of deal with that arrow guard.
Zelda's is actually making a lot of really smart moves without arrows. So he's out of arrows. This is definitely a dungeon where you'd like to have a few as backup. And not having a now means that when he picks up these 5 right here potentially, it's going to give him just enough to make his way through Palace of Darkness. It's kind of interesting. I'm seeing some of his randomizer experience. You know, a lot of randomizer players to really know what to do in a pinch because you always find yourself in a different scenario. Okay, I wouldn't waste those though. They're more precious than gold.
Yeah, arrow's one of those items that you can really never have enough of throughout the entire run, so anytime that you can pick some up, it's usually worth it. Anytime that you can save 1 or 2, it's probably worth it, so... he'll still have enough to at least get himself to another arrow drop, probably. But, yeah, he's definitely going to be looking for one, at least in the first half of Palace of Darkness. Speaking of Palace of Darkness, John Carls, rolling into Palace of Darkness, paying Kiki 110 rupees to open it up.
Acts like he owns the place, which is insane to me.
Look at him just strutting around. Like, he just knows exactly where to go. He picks up the key, mirrors back, whatever. It's no big deal.
This is an absolute John Carls Palace of Darkness. He knows the place. He's been here before. It feels like it's an old home, you know?
That jelly right there is like the bane of my existence, but luckily he doesn't do anything bad for John. So you kind of see this route of grabbing a key, mirroring back, going somewhere else, grabbing another key, mirroring back. The whole route is kind of set up not only because this dungeon is kind of a little bit of a sprawling open spot at first, but it also lets you pick up a bunch of bombs, and bombs are another important item to have throughout the run. You basically get, if you're doing things optimally, just enough to get every bomb that you need in the game. So really,
I haven't been paying enough attention. I don't think Xelnus has really gotten very many blue balls. That was the first one I had seen on his side.
I said that's either the first or second I've seen.
Okay, that's two
we
now.
Looked over.
I'm sorry. We should have never looked at him. We were doing him a favor.
I think he had 0.
We were doing him a favor by ignoring him.
So if you got just 2, this should be the last shot. And yeah,
no,
so it was 2 blue balls.
That would have been.
Or no, that's 3. That's 3. That's right. See, counting is so hard. How do people do it?
Yeah, I don't know. So John is now going for the hammer jump here. He needs to jump over to that platform, which is going to involve clipping through the rail. It's 2 pixel-perfect positions, one where you place the first bomb and the second where you stand. He's having a hard time finding the lineup for the first one. Pause buffering trying to get it before the bridge breaks, but he's having a hard time finding it. I think
he's got the bomb. I think he's lined up. Will this bomb explode in time?
Oh my god.
Oh, just barely.
That was the last moment.
Nicely done by John Carls. Staying cool under pressure. Meanwhile, we see Xelnas roll into the Dark World. He is out of arrows currently, which is going to be a little problematic. There's got to be an arrow drop somewhere. I'm just not certain of where it is. Unless, I mean, he could get it in the Mimic Room itself. There's arrows.
Okay, so if he's not doing hammer jump, so no, he needs 1 arrow. Otherwise he's doing the slow path in Palace of Darkness. But if he's not doing hammer jump,
that's right, yeah.
one of the chests down there has arrows in it, I believe.
Yeah, I think the single arrow is in the chest that doesn't have the key. So that might be his option here. Yeah, I forgot about the other arrow you need.
I think it's a pack of 5. But I think that will save him, assuming he doesn't do hammer jump. Oh, there's an arrow pot in the hall before the big key. I always forget that one's there as well, at the bottom of the big key room, or the room.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there is one there. Okay, so that's probably what it's going to be looking at.
Oh, that chest is 1 arrow? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why even bother?
Maybe you need 1 arrow. Maybe 5 is just too many for you. You know, you don't want to be greedy with arrows. Maybe 1. You know, why fire 5 arrows when 1 will do?
Xelnas walked into Palace of Darkness saying, "I own this place," and he said, "No, wait, I still need keys." John entering the turtle party. Let's see if we have a turtle party. Oh, we have got ourselves a turtle party on our hands.
He's handling it decently. Ooh, doesn't quite get that hammer where he wants. He's out of there, though. Sometimes that's all I can ask for.
Sometimes I ask to go fast in my speed games. I can understand why other people might not be so concerned with that.
I mean, that was a pretty fun turtle party, let's be honest.
Yeah, I wish I were invited.
John Carls entering Helmasaur King. I would say Helmasaur King, one of the hardest bosses for kind of how you're equipped. One of the most difficult bosses in the
It's a very temperamental fight. There's a lot that Helmasaur can do. Just knowing all of the different things he can do, he provides a very special challenge, and we love him. John making the right call there, dropping his spin when he saw Helmasaur rushing at him, and it was absolutely what saved him there.
Yeah, nicely done there. Good reaction. That second phase of Helmasaur King, even scarier than the first. He can do just a whole bunch of nasty things, so good work from John Carls to recognize the situation and get out. Xelnas still making his way through. It looks like he did pick up some arrows, so he'll be able to use that one later on to skip across. But he's setting up. We'll see if he goes for hammer jump or not. It does save about 40 seconds, so it is a pretty useful strat. But as you mentioned, double pixel, perfect alignment. So yeah, it looks like he's just going to go around it. It's a very difficult strat to pull off, so.
Yeah, don't blame him for a moment. Take a little extra cash while you're at it.
Yeah,
it's his money and he needs it now. He is strapped to the gills with cash, my friend.
In a mere 38 minutes, he's made, what, 245 rupees? That's insane. It's insane money-making ability.
Well, could be worse. He could be getting paid Hyrule minimum wage. I hear it's not that great.
So John Carls in the overworld. This is kind of the first spot where the game opens up a little bit. While the next dungeons are numbered 2 through 7, you can actually access 3 of them at this point. So John's actually going to skip all the way to number 4 because he doesn't fear anything. So he'll be heading over to Thieves Town, which is just a wonderful dungeon, honestly.
John fears no god nor man. So why is it that he's heading to Thieves Town next?
Well, Author Blues, you see the item in Thieves' Town is the Titan's Mitts, and those Titan's Mitts will allow him to get to the Tempered Sword. And the Tempered Sword is stronger than the Master Sword and does a lot more damage, which is really good. It's something you like to do with a lot of damage.
Stronger is
so he's going to pick that up. Stronger is indeed better,
okay, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm starting to understand what's been happening in my speedruns.
But first, he's going to talk to this guy and get a shovel, and he's going to dig up a flute. There's probably lore behind. I don't really know the lore behind this guy too much, but that flute actually is gonna a little bit later on give him the ability to warp around through the light world much quicker. So it's another reason you do Thieves' Town now, is it allows you to pick up the flute kind of on your way there, which is nice and fast.
Xelnas had a pretty safe strat in the Mimic's room in Palace of Darkness, and it went pretty well for him. He picked up some extra arrows while he was there, so he's doing a lot better as far as being a little low on his resources.
Yeah, managing it well. So johncarls playing the flute in front of a statue, which makes a duck pop out. Again, I'm really not sure how that all works out, but it does, so that's cool.
Asking too many questions is a sign of weakness.
Yeah, that's true. Just let it happen. Xelnas having a little bit of a turtle party himself. It looks like he's going to be cleaning it up nicely.
I didn't know you could do that. Okay, I learned something today.
Oh, the spin speed off the potion door?
No, I knew you could do that. I didn't know you could start charging up your sword early and give the mushroom to the witch while you were charging up your sword. I'm mad.
Hey, that's free time save next run for you.
Apparently that's what happens when you study your video game. Instead of just doing runs.
Yeah, just do runs. You can't PB if you don't do a run, so why not just do runs?
Zelda looked for a moment like he was going to try to go for non-sword out hammer. Got a little too close to Helmasaur and he pushed in, and that was all it was.
It took two really quick hits there.
Unfortunately, this is probably one of the more costly deaths you can take in terms of dying to a boss in a dungeon. You really don't save a whole lot because you've already been in here. You really do have to navigate a little more than half the dungeon again. So this is going to cost him, optimally a few minutes. We're probably seeing this. This is probably going to cost him something like 2 minutes, maybe a little more. John, however, now heading into Thieves' Hideout.
Is it Thieves' Hideout? Have I been calling it Thieves' Town this whole time?
Thieves' Town is the town that you're in.
I thought it was the Village of Outcasts. Or is that somewhere else?
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows? He's in the dungeon.
Village of Outcasts sounds right, though. You're correct. I'm mistaken about the name of the town. But I'm not sure if the dungeon is Thieves' Hideout or Thieves' Town.
I don't know. He's in the dungeon. That's what matters. You know what we've been here. We've been here before.
You know what it is.
You know exactly what it is.
So now we are into the second half, and definitely more important part of Thieves' Hideout, dungeon number 4, whatever.
Gargoyle's domain? Don't give that's false. That's
Gargoyle's domain is absolutely wrong. We are being had. John went for the God Pixel, didn't get the God Pixel, which is unfortunate because in a rare twist of fate, the Patrick Stars in the room did give him a pretty reasonable pattern he could have worked with.
Xelnas on Helmasaur King round 2.
He's got some good health. Hopefully that will play out well for him.
Even more fireballs from Helmasaur King not being kind right now.
No, he hammered just a few frames too early. You can actually despawn fireballs when you break Helmasaur's mask. Helmasaur got really aggressive again, ran in for the kill, and got it. So,
yeah, that was a very nasty pattern from Helmasaur King. Unfortunate for Xelnas here. He's gonna have to go through yet again to get back to Helmasaur.
The first the first cycle of Helmasaur King is a lot easier because you can keep your sword out, which will give you a little bit of breathing room away from Helmasaur. He'll push you back. Once that mask goes away, all bets are off, and he walks a lot faster. So, Zelda's not sure what to do right now.
Actually, run out of arrows. He missed that shot.
So he's gonna have to do this room the normal way. Not a terrible room, but it'll just involve him having to go around a little more.
John Carl's picking up the fairy there in the jail just to get himself back up to full health. He's also picked up this nice maiden who seems like just a really swell gal.
She seems nice. You know, he went on an adventure to save the princess and found love along the way. I think there's a movie in the works here.
Link was a young man from New York City looking for love.
John heading in to the boss room. Hopefully there's a boss to be fought.
Well, it's just the maiden in this. He's a nice little sunlight dinner.
Oh
no! Oh,
you hate to see
that. You hate to see that happen.
John pretty close to the script right now. He's actually not having a terrible fight right this second.
Really nice.
Gives himself a little spacing with the spin. Unconventional, but a really good idea at that point when you're just a tiny bit off script. Zelda's unfortunately having a little bit of trouble with the turtle party. That's going to mean he's going to go into Helmasaur with a little bit less health. He's going to have to play pretty conservatively. He's going in with some arrows. I wonder if we'll see him maybe try to take a crack at phase 2 with arrows. I don't know if that'll help him.
Yeah, it does give you a little bit more distance, you know, to get right up and close and personal.
The hitbox is so small, though.
Yeah, hitting that... The gem looks really big, but it's actually very hard to hit. If you're not lined directly up with him, it can miss very easily, so... We'll see what Zelda opts to do here.
I can definitely understand why he's a little bit hesitant to get really up close and personal. Unfortunately, Helmasaur is not really giving him the option, keeping the spacing with the fireballs.
Yeah, these fireballs just keep coming. It's almost, I think he's one hit away.
Oh,
he does
wow.
get the
Okay, thank goodness.
Oof.
Yeah, Helmasaur King actually gave him the good pattern a few times. When Helmasaur runs all the way to the bottom of the room, you would think that that would actually be very dangerous, but there's enough room to stand there, and you can get a pretty easy double spin if you recognize it and pull it off fast enough. Xelnas opting instead to play it safe, and honestly, I do not blame him for a moment.
So John Carl's, in the meanwhile, making use of those Titan's mitts. He's rescued a frog. Which, you know, that's just great. You'll love to see that. It's actually going to take him home, and turns out he's a swordsmith. Wouldn't you know it?
That's convenient, because he needs a sword.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how he's looking for a stronger sword, and this frog can actually make his sword stronger. Sometimes life just works out, you know?
Life, finds a way. John pays the man for his goods and leaves. Pretty rude, honestly. But he changes his mind and heads back. Xelnas now making his way out of Palace of Darkness, heading his way through the maze, and he's going to be also picking up the bird, picking up the flute. I wouldn't be surprised to see him picking up powder. He definitely got the mushroom.
John Carls gets Fence Dash, which I'm told actually saves 18 centuries.
Wow.
So John Carls is actually warping time and space on this run with that Fence Dash.
That's important. That kind of time save can be crucial in a race setting.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to give you a pretty big advantage. So John heading into Skull Dungeon now, which if you die in Skull Dungeon, you die for real, is what I've heard.
That's actually
a fact.
True or not. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has this dungeon has the unique property of being interconnected just by overworld, which does pose one small problem in that if you die in most dungeons, you warp back to the beginning of the dungeon. But if you're in the overworld, if you're in Skull Woods, walking between portions of the dungeon, and you die, he'll actually go all the way back to the pyramid. So dying outside is very costly here, and he has to be careful about.
So you're gonna see another bomb jump here to grab the fire rod, the item of this dungeon. Pretty useful item. It actually produces fire. It's a crazy thing.
Wait, and you said it's called what now?
It's called the fire rod. Yeah, it's an odd name to be sure, but you know.
I feel like they could have called it something better, like blazy, hot rod.
Blazing wings? No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The fire starter. That's what they should have gone with.
Yeah, twisted fire starter.
John now making his way into the last portion of Skull Woods. Don't blink or you'll miss it, guys. This is a short dungeon. John using that little block in the hallway to line himself up for a key dash. Expertly played.
You love to see that happen. Yeah, Skull Dungeon, a dungeon that has a lot of rooms that lead to keys that get you into other rooms with other keys. So if you know where you're actually going, it's a very, very short dungeon. I think this is actually one of the shortest segments in the Dark World.
John using the spike there, so for those of you who don't know, the spikes, while they do deal quite a bit of damage to you, they actually also deal damage to enemies as well, at the rate of a level 4 sword. One of the reasons why this boss fight is actually so challenging is because Mothula happens to actually be immune to the level 4 sword. And so if you push Mothula into the spikes, it deals 0 damage.
Now, you were saying that this boss is hard, but I see johncarls has already defeated it. Would you like to retract your statement?
It is an impossible boss. I think John might have been the first person to ever complete it, which is nice. You definitely like to see a uncontested world record happening here, right here on Speed Gaming.
Right here, twitch.tv/speedgaming/subscribe. The one and only place to find world records like this.
Also, make sure you're following both of these runners. johncarls is a really great Link to the Past runner, plays a lot of other stuff. xelnasTV is a really great Link to the Past runner. I think he primarily does randomizer, but he plays a lot of other stuff as well. Both really great streams to be following.
I can't imagine a world where you're not following both of these streamers, honestly.
I can imagine it, but it's not one that I want to live in. xelnasTV now making his way into Thieves' hideout, something like that. Defacing government property, taking that statue down and saying, you know what? I don't care. Flagrant disregard for other people's properties, breaking the trident on the front of it just so you can walk in.
We see John heading up now to get Quake, one of the 2 required medallions in the run. He's also got 608 rupees, which is more than the 500 he'll need to pick up the flippers, which, you know, it's really great when that kind of thing works out for you.
So he has more money than he needs.
Yeah, he's actually set on rupees, which is crazy.
So what do you think he's going to do with the extra? Do you think he's going to reinvest it?
I think, you know, at this point you put it into 401k, you let it grow over the years. And then, you know, 67 years down the line, you take it out and you just live off of it.
Here's an idea. What if he were to take all the money, put it into a 401k in the Dark World? When he comes back to the Light World, I feel like there's a lot of money there.
I like where your head's at. I do. I love it. Meanwhile, Zelda's getting the God Pixel.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What a god.
xelnasTV, showing where his name came from, channeling the powers of Zelda to absolutely destroy Thieves' hideout.
It's Burglar's Barracks, I guess?
Burglar's Barracks?
Right. That sounds right.
That makes sense. We need to come up with a new name for every single dungeon, and I'm enlisting the chat to help us here. Every time we get into a new dungeon, I want to hear your alternative names.
I've already got one. I've already got one. So John,
right,
after picking
here.
up,
Spending 500 on the flippers, a really stupid investment. He's already shown he knows how to swim in deep water. Why even bother paying this idiot 500 for flippers?
I mean, he does also give you the use of the Zora Warps, which John blatantly used without permission earlier. So maybe
already been using it.
Maybe he just feels bad about it, wants to do the right thing. So John gonna take that Zora Warp and head into Freeze Easy Peak.
Oh my god. I take it back. This whole game is over. The red horsehead guard saying, "Stop right there, criminal scum." And Zelda saying, "Pardon me while I leave this room."
We see Xelnas also picking up the girl. A really interesting strat. Must not have seen what happened to johncarls, or maybe he just believes that maybe he's the one that can really provide true love to this maiden.
Yeah, John was not her soulmate. He could never provide what Xelnas can.
So we're going to see a really, really big skip here in Ice Palace. It actually turns the dungeon from being a really awful, terrible maze to a pretty quick dungeon. From you said one little bomb jump.
It could certainly be worse. Xelnas, meanwhile, working on blind, not taking a lot of damage. Really great shape entering phase 3. Let's see how it goes. Wonderful.
Nice fight.
Any fight you can walk away from is a good fight when it comes to blind.
Ooh, johncarls having a little bit of trouble there. You can actually take out both of the Stalfos Knights with one bomb. John gonna sprinkle some powder on that one. Maybe trying to freshen him up a little bit. He's actually out of bombs here.
So you can actually kill these Stalfos Knights with slashes and spins and attacks. It's slow, but I think John's making the right call here. The Stalfos Knights tend to drop a lot of bombs, which will definitely help him out. All right,
he's just gonna mirror out. So this is actually going to be a little bit interesting. He's okay on magic, which is kind of one of the things you have to worry about in Ice Palace, as your magic is very important. You have full magic when you get down to Cold Start, but I think he's okay there. He does need to... I think there is a bomb in the pot when he drops back down.
He will be able to get a bomb.
So he should be okay here, as long as they drop bombs, which they usually do.
He has access to 2 bombs before he gets to the Stalfos Knights. There's one in the Stalfos Knights room, and there's the one in the pot before it. He is going to have to bomb the hole again, however, which means both of those bombs are going to be important. I've seen John's very clearly playing on a hacked version of the game, slashing one of the electric jellies and not taking any damage for it. That's what you like to see.
That's cheating big right there.
Alright, probably would have opted to...
Oh, he kind of messes up. There's a pretty precise timing for that Stalfos room. John weighing his options here. Gonna mirror out, give it one more shot here.
I think he was honestly in better shape sticking it out the first time and just slashing him. It takes a large number of slashes. I'm not going to pretend that it's fun to do, but you can kill the Stalfos Knights with your sword, and they do tend to drop a large pack of bombs. I think at this point that would have definitely been the faster option. John's going to need to be more cognizant, however, entering, because the bomb that he needs to use in that room to kill them both is the bomb that he's picking up in that room. So dropping powder is, it's not doing him any favors.
Yeah, he'll have to be sure to just menu basically as soon as he grabs that bomb in order to use it to get the proper quick method through that room.
Given the circumstances, John's really given this one his best, but It really sucks to be an Ice Palace at a bomb deficit, especially a 0 bomb deficit. So that should work. Yep. Unfortunately, they both dropped ones.
But I mean, that's enough bombs to work with. But a lot of times, yeah, you'd normally see a 4 or an 8
prize packs
one of them.
have 4s and 8s in them, and that would have been really nice. He's gonna get 2 cracks at Ice Palace bomb jump here. He's gonna get 1 shot more. That looks good.
That looks good.
All right, now he just can't fall in the hole. Can't pull an author blues on this one.
Yeah, you'd hate to see that happen.
I do hate to see that happen. Alright, so John's all outfitted with magic. He's actually doing okay on health as well, which means he's going to take that 1 hit on the spikes. Or on the spike.
Ooh, Zelda's having a little bit of an issue with the mummy room here. That statue has to be kind of lined up just right in order to stay on the switch. So you had to push it back out and then realign it and then push it back up in order to get to the big key. But now we see John dropping in.
Zelda's opting not for the health refill. This dungeon can really get away from you health-wise, and so you often will see runners take the opportunity to get the health refill wherever possible. For instance, powdering that pot at the top of the room to get a fairy. Alright, Cold Stare got a little away from him.
Oh, and
that's rough.
Yeah, each of those puffs does 4 hearts of damage if you have just the green tunic. So 2 hits and you're done basically. So John is actually going to have to do a little bit of scrambling here. I'm interested to see what he does.
I think he's probably going to end up going to Swamp next.
Yeah, that's normally the play here, but we'll see what John decides to do. Yeah, it looks like he's going to whistle out and head to Swamp. So since the real main thing here is that he's out of magic. He used all of it on Cold Stare. And to actually get through the first room of Ice Palace, you need to use your Fire Rod to kill the guy. So it's actually a little bit better here to go do Swamp Palace, get the free refill that you get from getting the crystal, and then head back into Ice.
What do you think's got to be going on through John's mind right now? He is not the sort of person to be watching the restream. I really don't think that he is. So it would not be unbelievable for me to imagine that he probably thinks he's losing right now. And that definitely puts your head in a different space.
Yeah. Oh, and we see Xelnas take a death in the second half of Skull Dungeon there. But yeah, at this point, you're definitely kind of thinking I'm either already behind or I've just thrown away any lead I had. So it can get really, really interesting in this kind of scenario. Zelda's taking a boost across the corner gap there. That's really something else. It makes it through the room. So, I mean, this is where you kind of got to just trust your instincts and play. Because I mean, the only thing you can do right now is play the best that you can. You can't, do anything else.
The worst part about Ice Palace is that there really is no... So John has already done Ice Palace, but he doesn't get anything for having already done Ice Palace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he basically is going to beat the dungeon twice for no reason.
Yeah, Xelnas having beaten, as soon as he beats Skull Woods, is going to enter Ice Palace, and he will have the same amount of progress on Ice Palace that John has right now, despite John having already done it. It's one of the reasons why dying on Ice Palace is so frustrating and costly, is that with other dungeons, you often get to save some sort of progress, and that's really just not the case for Ice Palace. You're not getting the big key, you're not even getting the chest item, so it's not like you have already gotten that out of the way.
Zelda's wrapping up Mothula, firing off a couple of Fire Rod shots in celebration.
But yeah, John, he's a trooper. He's not letting it get in his head. He's jumping straight into Swamp Palace, saying, "Let's just take this and run with it." You know, the play to move to Swamp Palace next probably does him a lot of favors. It's not necessarily his fastest option. The fastest option for him at that moment probably would have been to throw the rock and the bushes at the pickle to see whether or not it drops a full magic refill. That would have been his best option at that moment exactly. But, you know, maybe it'll do him some favors to really get his head moved past Ice Palace and come back to it fresh.
Yeah, I think that can help out. You kind of get that bad feeling of, oh, I just died in this dungeon out of your mouth. And Swamp Place, the Drowned Land, is kind of one of the easier dungeons to do. You actually kind of come in here a little stronger than the game expects you to be. So it's one that you don't really have too many troubles with, so it can kind of get your confidence back as well.
The one downside to doing this order the way that John is doing it right now is that he's now going to enter Swamp Palace already low on hearts. That's just the natural side effect. And that can be a real problem because Swamp Palace, while it's not a difficult dungeon, it really does nickel and dime you on health. It's very easy to take one hit here, one hit there, which would normally not be a problem. But coming in already at 6 hearts, that's not a place you necessarily want to be.
Yeah, a lot of people refer to this as like the dungeon of 1,000 paper cuts, where you don't lose any major time, you just lose little bits of time everywhere. So yeah, having a little bit less health coming in is going to actually maybe have a little bit of an effect. But so far, John having not too many issues as he's making his way over to the hook shot. I actually see Xelnas stopping over to pick up 300 more rupees. As he was just a little bit short. I'm not sure if he missed one of the...
He may have forgotten about it, or wasn't sure what the typical strat was. It seems like a lot of his strats are maybe not necessarily the typical ones, but sort of some of it's pieced together from his experience with Randomizer.
Could be, yeah.
And so I wonder whether or not that's just more of a personal strat for where he picks up some of his rupees. He's mirroring here. I guess to get powder at this point. That's kind of an interesting strat I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, you see most players picking it up right after getting flute. But yeah, we see Xelnas making the detour now.
What an interesting idea.
Yeah. I wonder what the time difference is on that. It's probably about the same, maybe?
I can't imagine it saves a ton of time, but it probably does save time just at the cost of not getting powder until after you've already done 3 of the dungeons. John opting for the double spin on Argus's last phase rather than what you'll often see runners doing is the Fire Rod strat. Xelnas here might have accidentally found himself in a soft lock position. This is...
Yeah, he dashed... Yep, he dashed slightly up there, just mirrors right away, which is the smart play to get himself unstuck.
Yep.
But he doesn't have Quake, but he can go re-grab it, I guess?
Yeah, when he comes back, he can use the warp point to jump back through. It's unfortunate. It's a side effect. So you may be asking yourself, well, why even dash against that wall if there's the hazard that you could potentially get yourself stuck? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say soft lock. I just meant to say stuck. But the thing is that dashing against that wall sets you up perfectly for a quick warp. It's a trick you can use where if you know the lineup for it, you can save 34 frames on your transition between the light world and the dark world. Unfortunately, if you dash against the slope instead of against the wall, it does put you into an awkward position where since you don't have boots yet, you can't, or you don't have flippers yet, you can't salvage it.
So John has wrapped up Swamp Palace. Looks like he'll be heading back into Ice for round 3. So
he's flying to 8. He's going to make his way probably to grab Ice Rod first. then maybe Ether, and then maybe back to Ice Palace. Not a terrible idea, just to sort of outfit yourself with some stuff. Xelna's absolutely making the right call on that one.
Yeah, that was some quick thinking there to make sure he didn't get himself into an even worse situation. So he does pick up the Quake. Now he'll mirror back and head into Ice Palace.
So it's interesting that he bonks against the wall in order to set up for the Quick Warp, but then walks left to grab the medallion.
Yeah, you normally just want to walk straight up and down there, otherwise you can lose that position. Nonetheless, is a Ice Palace now. John Carl's on his way to pick up Ether, the other required medallion.
So for people who are watching, it will look a little bit like John is behind because he's going to be entering Ice Palace after Xelnas enters Ice Palace. Unfortunately, John's already been through Ice Palace 3 times, and this will be his 4th time. That being said, John is actually ahead of Dungeon as well, so he's in good shape. Nothing to worry about. Nothing at all.
Still in the lead, but this race has definitely tightened a bit.
So it's time to head to Ice Palace now.
Or, he's getting there.
Yep.
Alright. He wanted to look at that waterfall. It's a nice waterfall.
I'm not sure if John's actually ever done that strat, so I'm not sure if he knew exactly how to navigate from that point back to the Ice Palace entrance.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You normally take the Zora Warp in order to get there, so maybe a little unsure of exactly where he was going for a sec.
Yeah, you'll remember back, John had a little bit of trouble. He was low on bombs, and that ended up costing him big time. Having to do the first half of Ice Palace 2 times due to a deficit of bombs. And then he did finally make it to Cold Stare, but unfortunately died to Cold Stare, as one often does when Cold Stare gets loose, gets wild. Xelnas is down to a half a heart right now, which, I mean, you can usually salvage anything, but he won't be able to do Ice Palace bomb jump, so what is his plan? What do you do in this situation?
Other than trying to hover it, I think you just gotta look for a heart. Oh, he's actually gonna hit the switch.
I think he's gonna just do Ice Palace.
He's just gonna do it normally here? I mean, the randomizer experience would come in handy here. He would know how to navigate through.
Unless...
He's gonna pick up the heart, re-hit the switch, and then go for the bomb jump?
Interesting idea here.
I mean, that's probably the best play.
It was a better play than I had.
Yeah, I probably would have just sat in the corner and cried for a while. That's probably what my strat would have been. Oh, doesn't quite get the bomb jump, does take the death. So now we see John Carls on the bomb jump again.
We've got Xelnas in the chat with his ... unhappy with what happened, but honestly, that was a really clever play. Something I had never really thought about, how to salvage that problem.
Yeah, I would have gone many other places trying to look for health or something like that. I wouldn't have thought to use that.
You're kind of stuck in there. I mean, you've only got 2 rooms you can move between at that point. I think I probably would have just ended up mirroring and going back and powdering the anti-fairy, but that was a really clever play.
Yeah.
I wish I had seen it pay off. I wish it had played out. That would have been really strong, but unfortunately it doesn't always work out so smoothly.
John hanging out with the lonely fire bar for a little bit. Tough room to move through with all the ice. You can actually use your sword or the hammer to kind of navigate a little quicker, but it's a tough room to get through.
That's true what they were mentioning in the chat. Dark Magician brings up he couldn't have done normal Ice Palace route anyway because you're expected to have hookshot in the very next room. So.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Xelnas saw the 4 bombs, said, I want them, and then when he didn't grab them, he's like, I've already wasted too much time, this was silly.
He just wanted to stare him down and let him know who's boss. I don't need those. And John has run out of magic on Cold Stare.
Rough. So I think we'll probably... So he has 2 options here. going to Mire next is not the best play, but it may be what he ends up doing. His other option would have been to try to farm these 2 pickles. You're pretty much guaranteed pretty good odds that one of them is going to drop some sort of magic. Xelnas
hit by the fire bar.
Yeah, he tried to bonk over the fire bar. What people don't realize is that that fire bar, you cannot jump over it. Its hitbox is present even when you're bonking.
So now he's gonna go for this play again to pick up the extra heart and then give it another shot with the bomb jump.
He still needs magic. Do you think he just considered the possibility of... So he knows he doesn't have magic. He wasn't going to be able to enter Mire.
Oh yeah, we see John going back. Man, maybe he's going to try to farm these pickles. There is actually a spot on the overworld where you can get a full magic drop.
That's enough. That's enough for him to get in the door.
Yeah, that'll get him in the door. There are...
I think he's going to just try to farm it properly. I don't blame him for the idea. Xelnas took a crack at it, fell in the hole. Not happening. He's trying the Ice Rod strats here, seeing if he can get the guaranteed big pot. Not always going to work out. Just keep throwing them, buddy. Just throw them all day. One and then another. There we go.
There's the
That's what Daddy likes to see.
Gets to it in the prize pack. Gets the full magic. He's back into Ice Palace yet again.
Don't call yourself an A Link to the Past fan if you haven't played Ice Palace 5 times in one run. Sorry, that was supposed to be interspersed with clapping hand emojis.
Yeah, just put a bunch of clapping hand emojis between every word. You should have said don't clap emoji, call clap emoji, yourself clap emoji. You know, but you gave it your best shot, and that's really all I can ask for.
I did. Xelnas, in the same exact... Both of our handsome boys here are doing their best to make it through Ice Palace. Ice Palace proving to be the absolute beast here. MVP for the entire tournament.
I'm not sure at this point if anybody has ever beaten Ice Palace, ever.
I've forgotten what it looks like for Cold Stare to die. Xelnas heading into Ice Palace bomb jump with enough hearts to fail it 3 times, and enough bombs to fail it twice, or once. He had the right pixel, he was on the fly trying to set it up, having a hard time.
And he's out of bombs. John Carls has made it over Ice Palace bomb jump yet again. And we'll be moving on.
Xelnas is going to try to figure out what he can do bomb-wise. He's not going to be able to do the dungeon casually. I wonder if he's considered that possibility. I wonder if he's thinking, I'm just going to play it the way I'm supposed to, and that's not really going to work out for him ultimately. Unless Xelnas is holding out on us as is actually a hovering god. I'm not sure this is necessarily going to produce the result. Both of these runners showing a ton of tenacity, not letting Ice Palace define them. I think a lot of runners at this point would have given up some hope, but both of these guys are sticking it out.
Yeah, both guys powering through, not giving up 1 inch. They're not letting Ice Palace win, and sometimes that's the most important thing. John let go of the spin a little early so doesn't get the puffs to stay together. This is going to be a tricky fight.
All he has to do is play it super conservative, and he's been doing that. He's been focusing mostly on giving himself some space and trying to do it mostly by spins. I think this is us seeing John say, it's fine, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to play conservatively and be done with this.
And he has killed Cold Stare. Ice Palace is done.
Absolutely paid off. I think that was really great.
Xelnas is going to give a try to hover here.
Xelnas is saying...
I believe in him.
I don't know what Xelnas's history with hovering is, but he's not going to give up. He absolutely is not.
And he does take the death. But honestly, that'll take him back to the beginning. He can re-get his bombs here, get his bearings back, and go through the dungeon as intended. Well, as intended for a speedrunner, at least.
So we bring you back to John Carls has already finished Swamp Palace, so he's actually on track to just go ahead and jump into Mire at this point, which is great.
I mean, he could farm a gold Mire section right here. He's already got the Ice Rod and the Ether too. Like, this is the easiest Mire gold of his life. That's the play here. That's the play all along.
So do we expect to see a bird toss and or a bird carry from our boy JC here?
I think John Carls respects speed and is just gonna ignore the bird. Just let him sit there.
Does that sound like the John Carls you know?
It does. It does. John Carls does like memes though, so he might toss the bird. Oh,
bird
he's gonna
carry.
carry the bird in. Okay.
God bless him. God bless John Carls. He did it for me. I know he did it for me. That was his love letter to the commentators, and we appreciate it. We recognize it.
You like to see that happen.
So this room, often referred to as Mire 2, we count cycles and the number of times that the Wizrobes disappear and reappear. John there getting the one cycle. Not that bad, honestly.
Now, why is it called Mire 2?
Because it's the second room of Mire.
Oh, well, there you go. And we see B strats from Xelnas. In the meanwhile, Xelnas picked up a B. I don't even know when that happened.
He was prepared for anything. I would wager anything that in real life Xelnas is a Boy Scout. He is prepared. He comes prepared. Xelnas is not giving up, but this one pixel movement is so tough.
Yeah, it's really tricky to get yourself aligned exactly where you need to be in order to make this bomb jump happen.
Xelnas not giving up, though. I know he's frustrated, but he is absolutely not giving up.
Shoutouts to this 20-year-long cutscene in Mire, where you wait for the entire room to move over, even though you see none of it. You just stay in here while it happens.
Yeah, in the amount of time that cutscene plays, Xelnas could have potentially caught up.
John picking up the big key. He'll be picking up the Cane of Samaria before heading down to the basement of Mire. Will we see the most important chess turn of the game, which is the cane turn?
John Carls here going for the spark gamble? No.
John Carls doesn't sound like a gambling man to me. That said, I know he often bets on sports. But anyways, he's going to be doing a little trick here. Oh, no, sorry. He's already done Swamp, so he's just going to hookshot over the intended way.
Do you think... do you think his sports gambling is going to come into play in this A Link to the Past for randomizer, or A Link to the Past NMG race?
Wow, did you... Oh... Even we're getting confused now. I don't know. It might. You never know.
I'm sorry. We saw a bee come out in Ice Palace. All bets are off.
I don't know where we're at anymore. This race is off the rails. All right, Xelnas heading back to the bomb jump, lining it up.
Xelnas can get this.
Yeah, he has gotten it before. It's just
please give him your strength. Please, everybody, give him your strength.
Send your energy.
So it looks like he's had the pixel a few times, but you know, he's quickly moving around in a panic trying to get it. It can be so challenging when you're in that position. The bomb cooks for a certain amount of time and you just can't put it together.
So meanwhile, John Carl's moving through the end of Meyer actually did a little trick there where he used his last bomb, and the inventory moved to the next item, which was the powder. So you can actually use the powder here if he wants to, basically with no penalty in terms of menuing. Nice, neat little trick that you see happen in Meyer sometimes when your bomb count's correct.
So we saw John practicing this fight before the race started. Looks like he opted for a completely different setup for it as well, which is kind of interesting.
But clean Vitreous there. Gets out of there. And he'll be moving on to a rock.
Zelda's here contemplating life, love, and the reality of it all. I think a certain number of times you go through Ice Palace and it started to become a little maddening. We're going to see what he does going from here. John had a pretty clean Vitreous fight. One cycle, he did get a lightning cycle off, but honestly, a pretty quick cleanup with not a lot of, you know, it didn't go sideways on him. That's really nice.
So we see John Carl's actually using the hook shot there in order to activate that kind of glitched spin speed state. It's actually what happens when you use the hook shot and dash on the same frame. It's a trick called item dashing, which we've seen with the hammer as well a little bit earlier. Allows you to use an item and dash at the same time. So a couple fun uses of it. And so John making his way up Death Mountain. He'll be trying to figure out a pretty difficult hammer peg puzzle coming up here. We'll see if he can get it first try. It's not easy.
Wow.
He's done it first try. He's done it first try.
You can actually medallion dash on these stairs to enter that same glitch state, which allows you to jump off of the top here instantly rather than having to walk against the edge.
I did not know that. I learned something today. You learned something today. I learned something today. It's just learning for everybody here today.
No, I heard new information. I didn't learn anything.
You did not know about the potion dash thing.
Yes, I was told new information, but that doesn't mean that I learned.
It was... oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I see what you're saying now. John
Very
using
nice.
the hook shot there. Allows you to get out of the room a little quicker. Makes that puzzle very easy, as you don't have to kind of time when the right cycles are to light the torches. You just go.
We're going to see a mirror out of this room. It's a little faster, few seconds faster to actually leave this room the way you came. It costs some health, and you also need to make sure you're on the right cycle, but John opted to save the health, save the trouble, and leave at the expense of a few frames.
If it's good enough for ACMLM, it's good enough for me. So I think John made a good call there. So John actually picking up a fairy there. That's a prize pack that actually has enemies that matter all the way back into Aghanim's tower. So
yeah, the mini
kind of set everything up right, the mini Helmasaurs and Pod,
the red arrow guards, all of the red spear guards. All those enemies are in the same prize pack, and he's actually been working on it since the very beginning of this game, making sure that prize pack's where he wants it. It's easy conceptually to set it up, but so many mistakes can happen. And it all culminates in making sure that you get a free ferry in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it sounds kind of weird, but actually can be very useful in Turtle Rock, depending on where you pick up that ferry. Because this is a dungeon that the game kind of expects you to have the blue mail, so everything does twice as much damage as the game really wants it to, and everything does a lot of damage to begin with. So you can die extremely quickly in this dungeon. So having that ferry backup, very useful.
John getting the heck out of here now. Heading through more pipes. Link is a plumber now.
Yeah, this is suddenly become World 7 of SMP3. Pipe maze. Thank you.
John getting not the worst pattern you can get, but not a great pattern on Pokies 2.
Yeah, when they move down, that's not so great. You gotta go chase them, but yeah, definitely not the worst possible pattern, as far as I know, but not a great one.
John has sword beams here, so he can use the invincibility frames that you gain from standing on top of the turned up pegs in order to just walk right through the roller, save yourself a little bit of health. He will have a guaranteed hit in this room. There's ways to prevent it, but he's not going to prevent it. So he will lose 1 heart in here, but I think that's mostly going to work out for him for the rest of the dungeon. His health is in a really great place.
Yeah, being 1 down from full is not a big deal. Definitely something a player of his caliber will be just fine with. Now John's setting up for laser skip and executes it perfectly.
Beautiful execution. That's what you like to see.
You like to see that. You like to see it. A nice little key dash into the next room. We'll see another little trick here with the Cane of Samaria. Oh, and the mini Helmasaur actually getting in the way, preventing him from hitting that switch. But good backup there. John is dropping a Cane of Samaria block for the swag. You like to see that. Firing 1 off for the homies.
He's going with front door Trinex on this. A little slower, but a hell of a lot safer. Health is a very, magic is a very serious concern in this fight. You need no fewer than half magic in order to be able to pull it off, and frankly, you probably want more than that anyway.
Very nice Trinex fight there. Cleans it up, and will be on his way to Ganon's Tower, which is actually the last dungeon in the game. Did you know that?
Wait, there's another dungeon after this?
Yeah.
Oh, I only signed up to commentate 10 dungeons. I did not sign up to commentate an 11th.
That's okay. I can. Well, I mean, why were you still here then? We did Aghanim's Tower.
Oh, yikes. My ability to count has been called out.
It's okay, man. Counting's hard. We've already found that out today.
I absolutely hate to see this happen.
You hate to see that happen. What a blow-up.
John making his way over to... Apparently there's more to this game.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, he's rescued Zelda, right? Which was the whole goal. I mean, you could just bail at this point. Like, why?
Hey, get out of here.
Yeah,
Who needs it?
Done.
Alright. Heading into west side of Ganon's Tower. There's got to be something of value over this way. Why are we even heading this way?
Yeah, I don't know. John's got some newfangled route, apparently, that lets him go through the dungeon correctly. It's really crazy stuff.
Not a big fan of that, if I'm being honest.
So one of the neat things about Ganon's Tower is it kind of challenges you, both in the casual playthrough and in the speedrun, to kind of use all of the tricks and tools available to you in order to progress through it. So we'll see a lot of neat little stuff here from John as he makes his way through. Yeah, John Carls' PB has already elapsed, but we do have to remember that he could warp time and space and still get a PB. You never know.
That's true. Sometimes big PBs can do that.
Yeah, you just gotta watch.
Do you think that we're going to see any arbitrary code execution in this run?
You know, I believe it's against the rules, so I sure hope you don't see it, because you'd hate to see that happen.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. Now, I couldn't tell whether or not John... I couldn't tell whether or not John took that warp on purpose or on accident, because he did pick up the pot of arrows. But, I mean, that's not really the ideal sort of way that you would want to get those arrows.
Right, he does need 18 for ice armors down here, but there was 5 in that pot that he just picked up. So he's plenty okay on arrows. He might have just missed the setup to get the bonk across, basically. And nice ice armors fight there from John. Cleans it up, doesn't have to deal with the enraged state.
John, pretty happy with his arrow count. I'm not pretty happy with his arrow count, but he's pretty happy with his arrow count. And he says, let's go for it.
That's kind of borderline to grab those 10 extra arrows in that chest or not. But John's like, you know what, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Well,
I'm John Carls.
He's probably fine. You need 8 arrows to kill the next 4 mimics, but they'll probably drop arrows for you, so no big deal. Kind of like that.
You just rely on the 10 drop, easy peasy. John moving into the Gauntlet now, which is a series of rooms where you have to kill all the enemies to progress, and there's lots of really nice conveyor belts, and there's great lasers, and just really fun ice to deal around. It's just a great time for everybody. Everybody really likes this section. Has a lot of fun.
We do very much enjoy the Gauntlet. We call it the Gauntlet because of how much we enjoy it. Every room has no fewer than 1 BMOS in it. It's good. It's a good time.
It's just great stuff. Really great stuff. You'll love it.
Have you ever thought to yourself, you know what would make this easier if lasers were constantly being fired at me? And this area of the game, I feel like, does a good job of delivering that.
John having a little bit of trouble with Morlorn 2. He's getting some short hops, which are kind of a pain to deal with, but it does clean up the fight.
John's pretty brave to have not grabbed that anti-fair or the bunny beam in the room before Moldorm 2, but there's really not a lot of opportunity for this game to nickel and dime you on health. And for a runner like John, he's almost certainly going to be grabbing the health refill toward the end of this dungeon, so that he has plenty for Ganon. So it's really a smart call. Sort of recognize, I can take care of the rest of this dungeon without too much concern.
Yeah, there's not a ton of stuff that can really hurt you until you get to that next spot that gives you a chance to refill, so definitely a good call there.
Not even taking the single heart under the pot. A lot of times you'll see runners taking that heart, and it's not because that heart is so valuable, but because if you do the room before it really optimally, you kind of want to make sure that you waste enough time so that you don't go up that stairwell right at the same time that the torches go out. If those two events happen at the same time, if you go up the stairs at the same time that the torches go off and that event happens, you can cause the rest of the dungeon to glitch out.
Yeah, it actually despawns everything, which seems like it sounds great, but it actually despawns Moldorm 2 and despawns Aghanim 2, so you can't actually complete the dungeon. And speaking of Moldorm 2, johncarls taking him out nice and easy there.
Over as quickly as it started.
Yeah, I would say Ice Armos gets a little more tricky, but the other two Light World refights definitely a lot easier second time through. So John into Aghanim 2. Aghanim decides he wants a couple of clones along for the ride. So you actually get 3 shots to reflect at him. The clones actually always shoot the good shots that you can reflect, so you'll see runners kind of focusing more on getting those shots. And
John's
not so
at
much
3 right now. So that's 5. So 1 more. He's actually had a pretty clean Aghanim 2, I would say.
Yeah. Really quick 4 cycle. That's really solid stuff.
2 cycle is the best you can do, but it's determined by luck. 3 is the best you can do with bad RNG. 4 cycle is still pretty clean. I mean,
when you think about it, would you rather have a 4 cycle Aghanim 2 or an 8 cycle Aghanim 2?
Well, that's a really tough call. What does the 8 cycle Aghanim 2 come with? Is there pudding involved?
It's butterscotch.
Oh, never mind. 4 cycle.
That's a callback.
That is a callback.
So johncarls moving into the Ganon fight now. I was going to be looking to end these first 2 phases in 1 cycle. Looks like he does end the first cycle, or the first phase in 1 cycle, and set up nicely to get the 1 cycle on the second phase.
So John wasn't set up very well for the 1 cycle on phase 2. He did get the 1 in 1. He knew he was too slow and wasn't going to get it, so he sacrificed his health, took the hit from the fire bat so he could get a few extra sword slashes in. Honestly, probably made the right call. He had enough health. He was able to lose it without losing too much. So 2 fire rods to relight the torch. He's gonna need to play a little bit safe here. The fire bats can do 2 hearts of damage, and he's only got 2 hearts, so...
Yeah, getting hit by anything here would kill him.
We're playing it fast and loose right now.
Ooh, it's poked in the butt.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that is not the sort of thing that you would like to see.
You hate to see that happen.
So he's gonna need to go and figure out his magic situation. That's really the only thing holding him back from continuing on. He can get a fairy from this tree right here, which I think he will, but really doesn't answer the question for magic. He could do the Ganon fight with Lantern, but he's trying to get these guys to drop a big magic pot, which he will get in the.
Yeah, but the next one will get him that big drop.
I think he thinks he needs to Ice Rod specific enemies, but actually in this game, any frozen enemy is in the same item pack.
And there he's got his magic.
So take 2 on, I believe his name is Ganon?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
So John Gay, another clean 1 cycle on phase 1. Let's see how phase 2 goes. So that was 12, so that means he's gotten the 1 and 1. This time much more cleanly. Unfortunately, wasn't quick enough to hit Ganon on phase 3, which means he did send out the Fire Bats. The Fire Bats can be a real nuisance.
So John into phase 4 yet again. Does get the torch glitch. I guess we didn't talk about that the first time through. So if you actually light that first torch before the second one goes out, throughout the remainder of the fight, the second one will always stay lit. It's a very important strat for Silverless Ganon, as we see John doing here, as you kind of basically need that long opportunity in order to get as many hits on Ganon as you can.
Almost lined up the first hit on that triple there. Really went for it, and I think that was good.
Yeah, 3 hits per torch cycle is the optimal, but you have to be really precise with your movement and your timing of lighting up the torch to get him. But we see John
There we go.
finishing it off. Nice fight. Some celebratory fire rod shots. John checking to see if he has magic. He does not.
He didn't, actually, yeah.
And John Carls finishes with a 146.56.
So do you think that was probably really close to his PB, or?
I've been told that it's actually 15 minutes off his PB, which you don't like to see that happen. Personally.
John was a real trooper. A lot of those deaths were
stuff.
The sort that you can really see anyone make, and it's very frustrating. Things really pile up. Ice Palace in particular, it's just a huge wall sometimes. Oh no, John's going to come in and respond to all of our smack talk.
Guys, don't tell him how mean we were to him.
Yikes! Yeah, tell him that we said all nice things, please.
Yeah, we were super nice the whole time. But yeah, especially like you said with Ice Palace. You do that dungeon 3 times, and then you're still not done with it. It can be very, very frustrating. So kudos to John for getting through. He has not done in speedracing.tv just yet.
He should, but I imagine he will eventually.
It will help out his tournament
it definitely helps out the stream. We'll mention it to him when he gets in here. Ask him if that was an intentional choice. Don't tell him. I'd like to see the look on his face when he finds out.
I mean, Green Ant already added him, so.
I know. I'm hoping John doesn't see that before he hops in.
Okay.
I just want to ask him whether or not it was an intentional choice.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh.
Dang.
John Carls has finished with a time of 1:49.06.
Yo.
Hi, John Carls.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Did I get the world's record?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Congratulations.
Whew.
John, I just want to know, was it an intentional choice to get up and drink water before you hit done, or would you have said that that was a mistake?
Could you walk us through your thought process?
You know,
during those
that's
moments?
the second race in a row that I forgot to hit done.
Mm.
Took a restroom break, but
I feel like that could have really made a difference.
So did you like it the first time you did it? That's why you decided to do it again here in this race?
Yeah, I felt like it was a solid decision. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about?
I mean, there's not a lot to talk about other than Ice Palace for a long
Holy
time.
heck.
Are you a fan of Ice Palace now, or?
I legitimately do think that Ice Palace is a fairly easy dungeon, and its difficulty is overrated.
I think you
That said,
definitely
I do
showed
not
that.
understand why I couldn't do the giant Stalfos room. Like, ugh. And
Yeah,
then
that room was giving you some.
I mean,
some
like the
issues.
cold stair fights. I mean, missing a fire rod shot is just super frustrating. But I don't know. It's a great question. What's
Well, that's
funny
what we asked him.
What's funny is that there were like large swaths of that run that were actually really competent. I got a gold in Swamp, outside of the 8 blue balls, all the way up until, you know, Ice Palace was decent. Like I could have been within 15 seconds of my PB if I had golded Ice. And then things fell apart a little bit. But I mean, Meyer was okay, T-Rock was okay, Ganon's Tower was okay. Obviously I died to Ganon late, but just that Ice Palace, it was really bad. I wasn't on tilt. I couldn't get the timing. I don't know why.
Sometimes it's really hard to press buttons correctly.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I don't understand of all, like, so I raced off and sometimes Tina like a lot before this tournament started, and I was consistently getting 133s to 135s like every time, and now like my races are getting worse and worse. So
did anybody else ever join you in any of those races, maybe? Or was
you raced me like
just
once.
It was at least 3 times, John Carls.
Before the
I PB'd
tournament?
twice.
Before the tournament? Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I PB'd
I'm
twice.
sorry.
That's okay. I still think you're all right.
It's a frustrating result for me. I know Zelnas had to forfeit. That's unfortunate. So like I will move on, but like I really needed a better tournament PB because now I'm going to get. I must be the last seed of the people moving on. I apologize to anybody better than me that didn't move on, such as you, Author Blues, but I don't. Yeah, I really was hoping for a 133, 134.
Wow, I'm knocked out before I'm even knocked out. I haven't even had my last race yet.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry.
Man,
I'm sorry.
I'm
I
getting
believe in
owned
you.
over here.
I believe in you, bud. I thought you were. I'm sorry. I'm just saying the 137 tournament PB is probably not going to seed me very well. So
yeah, as you did mention, that win does move you on through the groups. So what do you think you're going to be focusing on as you head into the bracket stage? What's kind of going to be the main thing you work on?
I don't know. Maybe I just need to do, I guess, some practice. I mean, what's strange about my tournament performances is like the stuff that I normally mess up in races is not what's been killing me. It's weird stuff like the giant Stalfos room, or like I died to Vidi my first 2 races, and I haven't died to Vidi in a PB attempt in like a year. So
free information for you, by the way. You can kill the giant Stalfos.
Oh, I'm aware, but I had no bombs left, so I couldn't have done bomb jump. That's why I'm out.
No, but I mean, you can kill them with your sword and get bombs.
Do they always drop bombs?
If they drop an item,
yeah,
their entire pack is bombs.
Yeah, because it takes like 20-30 seconds, but I knew I didn't have any bombs left, so I didn't think about the fact that he might drop one. I just knew that if I did all that and then finished that room and had to go on to the bomb jump, then I would obviously not be good. I also just overwrote all my splits on accident with this, so this is my new PB. So
congrats on the PB.
Well, just don't save it.
No, I did save it, and then I confirmed yes, because I thought it was asking me to save my gold. So
that's
great.
That
you hate to see that. You really do, you know? But, yeah, it was frustrating. You know, hopefully I'll perform better next time. I will quickly see all of you in the loser bracket. That's where I'm headed.
Nice.
After whatever my next race is. But hopefully, I just want to be able to put up a decent time at some point in this tournament, and I don't know when that's going to be, but it's been fun. You know, it's fun embarrassing myself in front of a few hundred people on speed gaming every week or so.
Well, I'm glad you're having fun.
Yeah,
And,
no, it's good. I think xelnasTV will be racing later tonight. Unfortunate that he had to forfeit. But, you know, I did what I could. Anytime you're within 15 minutes of your PB, you gotta take that time.
You gotta take them. You gotta take that.
That's like not even a full TV show. It's barely anything. There is no losers bracket. What is it called? The participation bracket? Whatever it's called, that's where I'm headed.
It's called you're just done with the tournament.
Single elimination, my dude.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I guess that's what he's saying.
I thought it was double elimination.
No, I mean it's win or go home. I have you winning the entire tournament, John Carls. I just
personally, I do too.
That.
Well,
so there might be a lot of money.
I was not aware that my seating was going to be that affected. So WQ, get ready. I'm headed your way, or Blunt Bunny or somebody. It's officially the John Carls bracket now. Yeah, that seems like just start me off is in that. I think that is double elimination though. It'd be nice if someone confirms. I play the game twice, so that's good.
So what do we
looks
got
like it says it's groups then single elimination. So best of luck.
Snakes.
Taking a look at the speed gaming schedule, it looks like we've got another link to the past NMG race right here on speed gaming. So if you liked this race, if you said to yourself, wouldn't it be great if I could watch this entire run again, except with different people, maybe?
Yeah, we're running a little bit late, so we should probably turn it over to the next race happening. This channel has a link to the past NMG going on. All of the other channels have randomizer going on.
Yeah, so
Shantae is coming up at 7 on Speed Gaming 5. So definitely keep an eye on what stuff is going on. This channel is going to be mostly a link to the past NMG tonight with a brief break for randomizer.
Just a quick 3 hours for randomizer. That's it.
The runs will look different than the ones that you just watched, so you can see a whole new experience coming up next if you watch these races. So,
well, thank you, John Carls, for the race. It was entertaining. Thanks
I like you guys. I'm looking forward to listening back to all of the heck I get from both of you.
We were so nice to you. The whole we never
that's even
once
worse.
said a discouraging word.
What if you just don't watch it and assume that we said nice or mean things, whichever is better?
That's the worst, because if you're saying nice things, that means you really pitied me during this run, and that hurts even more. So, yeah, stick around for more NMG. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to hop off and watch some.
All right, we're going to turn it over to whoever's commentating the next race. Enjoy NMG. Stick around. Don't go anywhere unless you're going to another speed gaming channel, in which case, honestly, you do you.
Yeah, go to a speed gaming channel. It doesn't matter which one. Whichever one you want to see most. That's the one you want to be on right now.